record. Okay, so we're recording. So quick recap, go to your ARC, go to resources, scroll down to AU advanced resources, and you're gonna have to log in, and then it's gonna pull up Alliance University Advanced Resources. Scroll here to underwriting grids, save these on your phone home screen. And as you're doing that, you've got your final expense underwriting grid. So let's just say you're dealing with somebody that is bipolar, somebody that has been diagnosed bipolar, and they're 68 years old and they want final expense benefits coverage for burial. And you're like, crap, they've got bipolar. Who do I put them with? Well, you click here on bipolar, and where you see CFG, NA, they don't care. It's all right. They don't have a problem. Foresters, they don't have a problem with their final expense product. Mutual of Omaha's Living Promise, if they've been diagnosed or treated within the last 4 years, then if you look over here to the right, they got to go graded. So they're graded for bipolar with Mutual of Omaha. Transamerica, if they're 0 to 17 with bipolar, they cannot get that product. If they're 18 to 85 currently treated with bipolar, they can go standard. So you see on here how it will tell you if the product will allow them to get it. For CVS. It says it's okay. I'm sorry, it's a decline if they are confined or been advised to go to a psychiatric facility. So if they're not in a psychiatric facility and they've not been advised by a doctor to go to one, then they're bipolar. They can still get CVS level coverage, preferred coverage with CVS final expense products. So this right here is huge in-home tool that will help you, especially if you can't get somebody on the phone when you come across these situations of what can I get them coverage? Cancer, anything other than basal cell skin cancer, so internal cancer. It tells you right here with CFG, decline if diagnosed or treated in the last 24 months. In other words, that product is not an option. It's okay for Classic Select if they've been treated outside of 24 months, but less than 5 years. If it's over 5 years, then you can get their elite preferred rate for final expense. So it will tell you right here on this underwriting grid, based off their condition, what they are eligible for, which company will cover them, which company will carry them. So that's a valuable asset to be able to have. Final expense underwriting grid. You can get it on advanced resources on the Alliance University page. The links are right there on the ARC. Save that grid to your home screen on your phone. Save the mortgage term grid to your home screen. They will tell you, like for instance, the mortgage term grid. You click on that one. You look at bipolar depression, CFG, decline if ever. This is their term products. Forester Strong Foundation, decline if ever. Also, major depression is a decline, and it lists several medications that are just an automatic no-no if they're taking that. Mutual of Omaha, decline if ever, also decline for mental incapacity. So it tells you right here on these underwriting grids, based off of these conditions, if they have this, here's their options. And if they're term products, if there's no options available for term, they're not going to be eligible for a large term product. So you have to look towards the final expense products at that point to help them out. So let's see if we can get this back here and get out of stop sharing. And I'm going to find it here in just a second.
It's up at the top, Mark.
There we go. Stop share. Yeah, that big red one. Okay. Thank you. So those underwriting grids are extremely helpful to have on your phone. Y'all are going to laugh. I am not kidding when I say this. When I started in this business 10 years ago, we didn't have anything like that. I know there's ways we can improve it and make it better. We didn't even have that. It was legit. Pull out an application, paper apps at the time, and it was legit. Okay, let's see if Transamerica will cover you. What did you say you have been diagnosed with again? Bipolar? Okay. All right, well, let's do this. Let's look at these questions together. And first one to find bipolar wins. Go. And then heart attack, cancer, stroke, blah, 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 blah. Have you ever been diagnosed with bipolar, depression? Shoot. Okay. All right. Well, that one's not an option. Hey, I got 12 other carriers. I'm not kidding. That's how I did it. When I first started, that is how I did it, was by going through the applications and trying to find out. They said they got the bipolar. I don't know if they can get that or not. Let's look and see. and find a company that doesn't ask about it or it doesn't have a problem with it. So this is way, way, way more simplified down so that you got those resources at your fingertips on your phone. Utilize them. On that advanced underwriting resources, there's also a build chart. Use common sense. There's no doubt that obesity in America today is a problem. It's a huge problem that we have, and it's just part of the American lifestyle. People don't eat right. A lot of the stuff we're injecting into foods and everything. And I'm not going down on a rabbit trail here, but obesity is a massive problem in America. This whole COVID thing that's been going around for the last year and a half, a lot of the overweight people are a lot of the ones that are passing away when they get COVID, just because a lot of the health problems that are already there. So my point in saying all that is use common sense when you're sitting with an individual and you can tell, man, this person's a large person. Don't just sling an application. Go to the build chart on the Alliance University Advanced Resources, save that build chart link to your phone and look it up. We have one carrier that can offer level coverage. In other words, no 2-year wait, and they do not ask about height and weight. That is CVS, Ascendo Life with CVS Health. Ascendo Life does not ask about height and weight. You can cover 600-pound people and get them first aid coverage with that product because that product does not ask about height or weight. So it's a great product to have if somebody's big and that's their only major health issue. Little things like that's why we represent multiple carriers, so that we literally have the best options to help people regardless of what their situation is. So the underwriting grids, the build chart, there's also a med list on there. That med list is not exhaustive, but it covers a lot of the major medicines. And so if you're unsure if a certain medication would fly with a carrier, you can pull up that med list, and the first 40-something pages cover the term products. And then the last however many pages cover the final expense products. And you can literally go to each company and look at the med list and see, hey, that's a knockout, I shouldn't even apply, or that's likely going to be graded, blah, blah, blah. So those tools are extremely helpful for you to have on your phone when you go sit in the home with people. Here's what I would say. Try and utilize those tools first before just picking up the phone and calling somebody. Listen, if you're brand new and you're on your very first appointment, I get it. Pick up the phone, okay? Understand. Pick up the phone. We want you to get the help that you need right away. If you've been with us for a little bit and you've run 10 appointments, 15, 20, 30 appointments, start utilizing these resources. Start utilizing them. It's kind of like learning how to, like a baby, kind of learning how to, grasp at food and find your mouth with it. And then as you get better, you start using utensils and you fumble around with them and drop stuff in your lap. But the more you do it, the better you get at it. You're utilizing the tools. And now nobody on this call has a problem putting a fork in their mouth. Okay. So my whole point is utilize those tools and the resources that are available, because there's going to be times where you might call me and I'm on the phone helping Rachel, and you go to call Rachel. Well, she's on the phone asking a question to me. So you call Nick, and Nick's on the phone with Cody helping Cody with something. So you call Jonathan, and Jonathan's out in the middle of Blue Ridge and doesn't have cell service. And so my point is, you're going to be in situations where you call 3 or 4 people, you're not going to be able to get anybody. Know how to use those tools and utilize them. Go back and listen to part 1 of this from last week. Watch it over and over. Get real familiar with what those medicines and situations that I talked about last week that are just, they're knockouts. They're not going to get approved level coverage. They have to go guaranteed issue. Get familiar with the maintenance medicines I talked about, that those are no brainers. They'll cover them. That's not going to be a problem. What I'm going to do over these next few minutes is just kind of highlight some of the major or more common health conditions that you're going to encounter. Along with the obesity problem that America has, is hand in hand a sugar problem, diabetes, got the sugar, whatever you want to call it. Diabetes, it's a big problem. A lot of overweight people tend to get diabetes because those health situations are interrelated. And so what's going to happen is you're going to sit with a lot of people that are diabetic. They'll try to tell you sometimes they're pre-diabetic. Well, I don't have diabetes. I'm just borderline. I'm pre. It's either high blood sugar or it's not. Okay. If they got you on medication for it, if you feel better about calling it pre-diabetic, fine, but you got high blood sugar, that's why they're putting you on diabetes medicine, is to help get that blood sugar number down. If you were about to have high blood sugar, they wouldn't put you on blood sugar medicine. But I digress. No need to have that argument with people. Just, oh, I hate the pre-diabetes, that pre-sugar stuff, man, I hate it. I hope they can get you off that medicine fast. You get people that are diabetic. If they're just diabetic with oral medicine, no insulin, it's just treated with oral medicine, and that's it, no complications of any kind, they can legit get just about any product that we have. If they were diagnosed with diabetes under the age of 50, then do not look at Mutual of Omaha at all. But if they're just about any other age and it's just oral medicine, they can get term product, final expense product, they can get just about anything. Okay. If they take insulin, you still have, but they don't have any other major health issues or diabetic complications, then they can still get some of the term products. That's where that underwriting grid is going to help you know which term product can I look at with insulin use for diabetes. If they are for the final expense products, you can legit get just about anything. There are some variances, like for instance, Colombian Life, insulin before the age of 50, you're not eligible for Colombian's level final expense. That's why we represent so many companies. So we've got other companies that's not a problem for. Forrester's Plan Right, insulin controlled diabetes is fine. Obviously with Forrester's Plan Right, they have to be at least age 50. But let's say you've got somebody that's 54. They've been diabetic since they were 3 years old and been on insulin since they were 3. That is literally Forrester's Plan Right is about the only product we have that you can get on level first day coverage, as long as there's no other diabetic complications. Most companies ask about diabetes before the age of 20 or insulin use before a certain age or whatever. Forrester's Plan Right doesn't ask that. So if you've got somebody that's over 50 and they've been diabetic most their entire life and somehow still don't have diabetic complications, then that Forrester's Plan Right would be the way to go for that. Along with diabetes, you get diabetic complications. And the most common diabetic complication is diabetic neuropathy. It's where they start to get tingling in their nerves and their fingers and toes and feet as those nerve endings start to die from the blood sugar. As those nerve endings die and they can't feel and they lose their sensation and stuff, and then they step on a nail or they clip a toenail clipping toenails and cut too deep, and they start to get infections in those wounds, and those infections don't heal, and it can lead to amputations. I know it sounds nasty, it is what it is, but diabetic neuropathy is a big deal to most companies. So when somebody has a medication for diabetes, whether it's oral pills or insulin, usually if somebody is diabetic neuropathy, they're being treated with insulin already because the diabetes has been getting out of control. But sometimes you'll see somebody that takes oral medicine for diabetes and they have diabetic nerve pain medicine as well. The most common diabetic neuropathy medications, diabetic nerve pain medications, gabapentin, Lyrica, there's another one that I'm drawing a blank on, but gabapentin and Lyrica are the most common ones. Those are nerve pain medicines. And so if somebody is taking those medicines along with diabetes medicines, the insurance company is automatically going to assume those are related and that it's diabetic neuropathy. And if that's the case, virtually every single company we have right now asks about diabetic complications, and it puts them in the graded category. They can't get level coverage. It's got to go graded with a 2-year wait. In that case, you're typically going to go AIG or Sons of Norway. The one exception to that is Transamerica. Transamerica, if somebody has diabetic neuropathy, they do not ask about that in the health questions. They don't ask about diabetic neuropathy. Transamerica does dock somebody from preferred down to standard if that individual has used insulin within the last 2 years. So if you've got a client that's on insulin for diabetes and they have diabetic neuropathy, but no other major health issue, then I would look at Transamerica Standard for them, because it's still better than a graded plan because it's first day coverage. It's priced a little bit higher because of the insulin use, but it's still first day coverage. Gabapentin can be used for anxiety too, but the majority of times that somebody's taking it, it is for nerve pain. I'm 36 years old. I've had 2 lower back surgeries. When I had my second back surgery at age 30, they tried putting me on gabapentin for nerve pain in my lower back. I'm not diabetic. I've never been diabetic. I've never taken diabetes medicine, never needed to. My blood sugar is just fine. But I was on gabapentin for a little while for nerve pain in my lower back while they were trying to control it before they ended up having to do surgery. That's an example of somebody that took medicine for nerve pain, but it was not related to diabetic neuropathy and tingling in the feet and hands. So the majority of times when an insurance company sees diabetes medicine and gabapentin, or diabetes medicine and Lyrica, they're assuming diabetic neuropathy, and they're going to knock them graded. So Transamerica will let them go standard if they're on insulin and have diabetic neuropathy. If they're not on insulin, they just take oral medicine like metformin or something, and they've got diabetic nerve pain, a little tingling in their fingers, and the doctor gives them gabapentin, but no insulin, then they could potentially get Transamerica preferred. So your mind just automatically wants to associate, boom, diabetic neuropathy, I got to look at Transamerica. And then as you go through the health questions in those other sections of Transamerica's application, that'll tell you if that's the only thing they have to answer yes to, then they can go trans standard. If they have to answer yes to another question, like, well, they had a heart attack, within the last 2 years. Well, that's another yes answer in that question. That bumps them to graded. Okay, so now it's time to go guaranteed issue. As a general rule of thumb, you will not write graded policies with any of our carriers except guaranteed issue. Most carriers, their graded plans are more expensive than the guaranteed issue products that we have. If you're brand new, guaranteed issue means as long as you're breathing and you fit in the age parameters, they will give you coverage. It's just got an automatic 2-year waiting period on it, and it's priced a little bit higher. So just know if you've got to go graded with somebody because of condition X or conditions X and Y, and they have to go graded, in most cases, as a general rule of thumb, you're going to go guaranteed issue with either Great Western, AIG, or Sons of Norway. Those are our 3 guaranteed issue products. Yes, when it comes to the field underwriting, remember this: the insurance companies rely on you to be their eyes and ears out in the field. You're the one that has to do the initial screening, go over the health questions, look at the medications, make sure they're not 700 pounds sucking on oxygen when they say they're perfectly healthy. That's yours and my responsibility, is to be the eyes and ears for the insurance carriers as we're trying to help these people get coverage, the best coverage, as quick as possible. And with 30 of the top companies, we have the best options out there, but you have to be thorough in your screening to help them get the coverage that they need. I can't tell you how many times I've had a client or an agent call me and say, hey, I applied with so-and-so with this company and it got denied because of this. Well, they didn't tell me they had this. In some cases, it's just the client did not tell them. In other cases, it's just the agent not being thorough and asking the questions. So go over the application questions, go over all their medications, ask them what medications they've taken in the last 5, 6, 7 years that maybe they don't take anymore, and jog their memory so it helps you know, hey, what does their picture, their health history look like over the last few years, so that I can be as thorough as possible to get them the best coverage. Here's a little tip: if you see medicines and you have no idea what they're for, in a lot of cases, your client doesn't remember why they're taking them. Now, the doctor said I take these ones in the morning. Doctor said I take these ones at night. Well, what's this one for? I don't know. If you have any question or you're not sure and they're not sure, Google it. Pull your phone up. What is gabapentin for? Try and spell it right so that Google will pick it up. But what is gabapentin for? I like to have the clients bring their bottles out to me. I just tell them, hey, look, it just makes it to where I know how to spell it correctly. Every now and again, you'll have somebody that keeps a list in their purse or in their wallet or something. That's fine too. But I tell the clients, hey, look, if you'll just grab those medicines real quick, it's got all the spellings on there. I'm from North Georgia. I don't, I can't, I'm doing good to spell my name right every day, much less all these crazy medicine names. So if you'll bring those to me, that'll just help make sure I got the spelling correct, so the insurance company knows exactly what you got. I don't get any pushback or feedback, or I mean pushback from that. So have them get their medicines, and as you're going through their medicines, Jim, what do you take this for? What do you take this for? What do you take this for? I don't know. I don't remember. I've been on it for 5 years. I don't know what I take it for. Okay, fine. Let's look it up real quick. And so you look it up and you find out, hey, this is medication is for this. Do you have this? No, I've never had that before. You've never been diagnosed with X? No, I haven't, because that's what this is used for. All right, let me scroll down. Are there other things? Oh, it can help you sleep at night. Yeah, that's what the doctor gave me for. I take it at night. It helps me sleep. Okay, so it's not for anxiety and depression. It's to help you sleep at night. Yeah, that's right. Okay, all right, cool. That's why you want to know what a client is taking, so that you know what that medicine is for, so you know how to accurately answer the question so that you can get that client covered. The good news about us having multiple products, if somebody gets declined initially, we've got backup options. And I know there's going to be times where the client just doesn't tell you everything. Or I know there's going to be times where the client tries to downplay it. They're bipolar, schizophrenic, and they try and tell you they just battle anxiety and depression. And you try and send it in and get them approved, and, they're taking lithium and risperidone. Those are heavy psychotic meds, but they try to tell you it's for depression. And those meds are for bipolar and schizophrenia oftentimes. So be a little discerning on that. Ask them, say, hey, look, I know there's a lot of depression meds out here. This one is specifically used for schizophrenia. Have you ever been diagnosed? Even if you don't think you have it, or you don't have any crazy episodes, have you ever been, has your doctor tried to tell you that you're borderline schizophrenic? Is that why he's got you on this medicine? Well, they say I am, but I'm not. Okay, I get it. But the insurance company's going with what the doctors say, not with what the client thinks they do or don't have. Again, just be thorough on that. Find out what they're taking medicine for, answer the health questions accurately. And then in the producer comments, sometimes you may need to put down, hey, this client is diabetic, they've got type 2 diabetes and they take oral medicine. They've been taking this gabapentin, this nerve pain medicine, for 5 years. They just got diagnosed with diabetes 2 years ago. The gabapentin is not for diabetic nerve pain. It's for pain in their lower back because they've got a herniated disc they've been dealing with for 5 years. When you put that kind of information in the producer comments, the insurance company sees, okay, that makes sense. He's been on gabapentin for 5 years. He just got diagnosed with diabetes 2 years ago and prescribed metformin. So those aren't related. It's not diabetic nerve pain. It's just he's got back pain from a herniated disc, and he's got diabetes in the last couple of years. And so the insurance company will realize, okay, these are not related. There's no diabetic neuropathy, apparently, and they can issue them level coverage. So those producer comments are valuable, where you can add details and explain things like that. Do not go into Don't get yourself in trouble in the producer comments by, well, the client thinks that they might have this and they're waiting to hear back what the doctor thinks. Like, don't throw a bunch of unnecessary crap in there and get yourself in trouble. Be legit with the questions, be specific, but don't volunteer extra information about doctor thinks the client may be this, they want to run more. Don't add any of that crap in there. Go strictly off the questions. Sometimes you may just need to clarify a little bit. Hey, this is not for diabetic nerve pain. This is for disc issues, nerve pain in his lower back from some disc issues since his injury at work 5 years ago, or whatever. That's where you can be specific about that kind of stuff in favor of the client, trying to get them approved. Remember, your placement is a big deal. Placement is how many policies you get approved that you actually send in and apply for. If you're sending in 20 policies every month, or 20 applications every month, and only 4 of them are getting approved, the insurance companies do not like that, because it looks like you're not being very thorough with your underwriting process, and you're just slinging apps at the wall hoping that something sticks. If your placement is bad, insurance carriers can terminate you and say, you're not writing our business because your stuff does not get approved and you're not being very thorough. When your placement is really, really good, insurance companies are like, this person does good business with us. This one probably shouldn't be approved, but we'll make an exception based off his comments. Let me give you an example just real quick. On Wednesday, I'm going to deliver this Forester's policy. Long story short, it was a lady that was paying over $2,000 a month for life insurance at age 70 years old. And she had tried to get a larger policy and couldn't because somehow on her MIB, it had got put on there something about COPD. She did not have COPD. She did not have, she only had seasonal asthma that, I mean, 70 years old, she still cut 6 acres of grass every week. And so during allergy season, occasionally she'd get a little winded from cutting grass with all the hay seed and everything floating around. And so there's some inhalers that she would literally get filled like 3 times a year. One of those inhalers can be used for COPD. So they had her down as COPD. So because that was on her record, everybody was legit seeing that and just trying to get her 20,000, 25,000, 30,000, 15,000, all these little final expense policies and stack them up. And I went in there and found out, man, this girl's paying over $2,000 a month for about $180,000 in life insurance, but it was all these small final expense policies. So I applied with a Smart UL with Foresters, a permanent policy for $150,000 and another $35,000 with Columbian Life with their level plan instead of graded or standard like everybody else was getting her. And long story short, we were able to get her $185,000 in coverage for $762 a month when she's been paying over $2,000 a month for $185,000 in coverage. And my point is, I was able to get her with Foresters because my history with Foresters business is really, really, really good. Over 10 years, and my placement's incredible with them. They know I'm very, very thorough. So when I reach out to a senior underwriter and say, hey, look, here's the situation, here's what she's paying on, here's what she's looking for, and this is what it looks like we can do, they were able to say, hey, based off of your history with us, the fact that you write good business, your stuff gets issued, it stays on the books. If you can get a doctor's note stating that there's no COPD, we'll give her that $150,000 simplified issue and not make her go through medical exams or doctor's records. And so, boom, on Wednesday, I'm taking this policy out to her that they delivered to me. And here she is. There's a $762 a month sale because I've been thorough and got a good history of writing good business. So it matters. If my placement was awful, if I had a bunch of stuff that I was just trying to get issued and it wasn't getting issued because I wasn't being thorough, Foresters wouldn't even give it a second thought. So it does matter. It's extremely important that you are being thorough with your clients and finding out what they're taking medicine for, what they've been diagnosed with, what have they taken medicine for in the past that maybe they're not taking anymore. Prescription history check and MIB reports go back about 7 years. So anything a client's gotten filled at their pharmacy in the last roughly 7 years, the insurance company is going to see it. And you got to be thorough. Some carriers ask about, have you been diagnosed in the last 3 years with condition X? Some carriers say, have you ever been diagnosed with condition X? So if they were treated for it 5 years ago and they haven't been treated for it since then and they're doing better, then you may have a chance at the one that says in the last 3 years have you been treated for it. If they have been diagnosed with something 5 years ago and it's better and they're not taking medicine for it anymore, this company over here that says, have you ever been treated, they're gonna hold that against them for having ever been treated. So again, that's why we have multiple carriers, multiple options, so that if one company's picky about a certain prescription or a certain health condition and this company's not, then this is the way to go for them. So those underwriting grids are extremely helpful. The medicine list on there is extremely helpful. The build chart on there is extremely helpful. Here's the deal, guys. At the end of the day, the more appointments you run and the more times you come across this stuff, the better you're going to get. Your biggest teacher in all of this is just running appointments and running appointments. You say, Mark, why do you not go in the home anymore and pull your paper application out and say, hey, bipolar, is that what you said? All right. See these health questions right here? They ask a bunch of different health stuff. See which one of you or me can find bipolar first. Ready? Go. Here we go. Why do you not do that anymore? Because I've ran so many freaking appointments. So when somebody tells me they're bipolar, I know which carriers to look at. I know which carriers not to even run a quote on because they're not going to get it. It's just from doing it over and over and over and over again. There's a bunch of people on here, bunch of different backgrounds, bunch of different careers, bunch of different jobs that you've had in the past. Think about any job you ever had that you showed up on day one and it's like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but they told me I'm going to get paid X amount if I do what they tell me to do. And 2 weeks in, you started to feel comfortable. 2 months in, you were like, I think I've pretty seen just about everything here at this job. 2 years in, you've been promoted several times and now you're training the brand new people coming in, right? That's how it works. You show up, you do it over and over and over, and you learn and you get better and you mess up and you make mistakes and you ask questions and you learn and you get better and you mess up and you make mistakes and you ask questions. And now you're the expert because you've been doing it for so long and now you're teaching other people how to do it. This business is no different. It is no different. What's the difference between people that have been with us for 5 years and are still struggling and people that have been with us for 5 months and are already tracking for $100,000 a year income? Like a Nick Greco. The difference is who's going out and messing it up and getting good and learning and messing it up and getting better and learning and messing it up and getting good. Those are the ones that do that quicker, or the ones that are going to make more money fast and get better faster. The ones that want to just sit back and analyze, so I ain't running appointments till he comes out with part 4. Because once he comes out with part 4, then I'm going to know just about everything I need to go to start making appointments. That's what I'm going to do. Those are the people that are going to sit there and struggle and be frustrated and end up going back and getting a job. So I'm just telling you, all the resources that we have, all these trainings that we're doing, all these underwriting grids and stuff available at your fingertips online, those are all extremely useful tools. But at the end of the day, you got to be the one that picks up the phone and goes see these people. You got to be the one to get out there. And I'm going to close it up with this. This is why this business is so freaking important. Okay. He's not on this call tonight, but one of my best friends here in Greenville County that I've gotten to know over the last 3 or 4 years, him and his wife are some of my wife and I's best friends. His name's Jeff. He's 31 years old. Jeff is a fellow Georgia Bulldog fan. We go to a lot of Georgia Bulldog football games together. Right now, Georgia's the #1 team in the country. We had a blast on Saturday going down to Athens and watching our Bulldogs play. We had barely sat down for kickoff at 3:30 on Saturday afternoon, like barely sat down and watched the opening kickoff. Jeff got a call from Greenville County Sheriff's Department telling him that they found his younger brother, his 26-year-old brother, Ryan, in his apartment, had put a gun to his head the day before and pulled the trigger. And while we're sitting there watching Georgia Bulldog football with 93,000 people in Athens, Jeff gets a call saying that his baby brother put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger. 26 years old. Guys, I'm telling you, life insurance, what we do is the difference between a family being able to move on financially and not have to worry about the financial aspect while they can grieve and focus on the loss of that loved one, or is there going to be extra burden and pressure financially on top of the grief, on top of the shock, on top of the heartbreak? Is there now going to be financial burdens added on top of that because they didn't have the important coverage in place? Don't be the person that your client dies without coverage because you were too freaking scared to pick up the phone and call them because you didn't know which company was going to cover them if you found out they had condition X. We can help you with any situation that you face, with any client that you sit with, and we've got the resources at your fingertips to do it, and you've got us on the other end of the phone to help with that, and you've got these training videos that you can watch to learn how to get better at this. But you have to be the one to pick up the phone and go see these people, because you never know what somebody's going through, whether it's a health problem, whether it's a mental problem. It doesn't matter. You don't know what somebody is going through, and you do not have the ability to guarantee that they will stay alive long enough until you figure out all your little questions that you have before you're willing to pick up the phone and go help them. Okay. So that's my plea for you tonight. While all these tools are great, while all these resources are awesome, while this business, you can make a shit ton of money doing this business. What we do is real, and what we do makes a difference in people's lives. And what we do is the difference between them struggling more or them being able to not have to worry about financial hardships and burden, because you cared enough to get out to them as soon as they sent that request in and help protect their family, so that when tragedy strikes, and it will, you just don't know if it's going to be 26 or 86. When tragedy strikes, their family's taken care of financially because you did your job and you cared enough to get out there and help them. And you will benefit financially from it. But more importantly, when you know that I didn't wait, I got out, I saw them, I helped them, I took care of them, and this was the difference maker for their family's grieving process financially that they did not have to worry about, that will beat any compensation or commission that you received from it. All right. So I'm telling you guys, we have the resources here to help you. You have to be the one to pick up the phone and go out and help these people get the coverage that they are asking for. Because if you don't, tragedy will happen and they likely will be uncovered, or even worse, somebody else is going to go help them because somebody else wasn't too scared or too worried about what situation they were going to encounter, and somebody else picked up the phone and went and helped get them the coverage that they need. So I'm telling you right now, this thing works. We'll help you make it work. You have to be willing to get out there and work it, and the resources are here to do that. So love you guys. Once again, I get long-winded and preachy, I'm sorry, but I do have to go. This one will get posted on the website as well. Nick said he's getting the first one posted up here over the next couple of days. Then he's going to get this one edited and posted. Anything I can do to help, please don't hesitate to reach out. But utilize these resources that we have, guys, and just pick up the phone, go run these appointments. I'm telling you, the more you do it, the better you're going to get, the more confident you're going to get, and the more you're going to actually enjoy the process of helping people and obviously getting paid well to do it. All right, guys, love you all. Anything I can do to help, let us know. All right, take care.